Hey everyone, Sirturmund here again, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. So usually during the week of a new patch, we do our patch notes breakdown and 15 deck recommendations on Tuesday night after the patch notes come out. However, recently Riot has been blessing us with this patch notes stream type of things, right? Where they kind of talk about the balance changes ahead of the patch notes, and they usually do that the day before on a Monday, right? So what I decided to do this time around is that I'm actually gonna give you guys my thoughts on the changes that Riot goes over in their stream today. So kind of like a little bit ahead of the patch notes that actually come out tomorrow. And then tomorrow, we still do our usual 15 deck recommendations. So today's video is going to be like a pre-patch notes review of all the changes that Riot is going to do. And tomorrow, we'll do our 15 deck recommendations that we always do. And then on Wednesday, of course, we're going to jump right in with gameplay video on the new patch. We also have a stream on Wednesday night. So you make sure that you're also following us on Twitch, where we'll be streaming the new patch on Wednesday night. But anyways, let's start here. Now, this video obviously is my thoughts on the changes that Riot is going to make. If you actually want to listen to their thoughts and their balanced decision and why they do certain things and why they make certain changes, make sure you go to the Legends of Runeterra YouTube channel and actually take a look at the whole stream, because obviously the devs here are giving us a lot of insight, and we can quickly just jump ahead to see the name of the devs, right? So we have Jules, obviously, who's our community manager. We have Runeclaw over here, and I know he's hidden by my face, but you also have Iron Walrus. So they're kind of the ones giving this breakdown on the stream. So again, if you want to get their opinion, go watch their video, the official video. For us, we're really going to skip ahead to just the changes, because that's really all I care about, and that's what I want to talk to you all about. So let's jump right ahead to it. Let's see. So, here they kind of give us a little breakdown of the philosophy for this patch for 4.10, which is the patch notes that are coming out tomorrow, and the patch that's coming out on Wednesday. So in general, it looks like they're trying to nerf some of the overperformance for the previous patch, right? So like think of like Yana, right? That's what I'm thinking of. Like the new cards from the last expansion that are really problematic, in my opinion, is probably Yana and some of the package from Yana. Maybe not Yana herself, but maybe someone like the Mariner, I think, are going to be problematic. So I can expect to see probably some nerfs on that. And then it looks like they're focusing on buffs to some of the big monsters, some of the epics in the game, and some anti-elusive tools, which tells me that they're kind of tired of these random elusive decks that every patch just seem to do really well, right? This patch, we had Teemo Ionia that has been kicking like a 55-60% win rate for the past 2 months, right? It's kind of crazy how good that deck has been. We have seen like Yumi Teemo recently, and even before that, patches ago, we got to see like target elusives. So I think it's about time that we get more anti-elusive tools. So I'm curious to see exactly what they do there. But let's skip ahead and jump straight to the nerfs. So yeah, so here we go. We're kind of close enough to the nerfs, it looks like. So, okay, here. All right, so the very first nerfs that we see here are going to be to Freljord, right? And it even says it right there, Freljord needs to chill. I see the pun, Jules. Jules, I see the pun. But first one is Warding of the Tribes, right? So Warding of the Tribes is going to go back up to 9 mana. So remember, this was always 9 mana, and Riot decided to buff it to 8 for whatever reason, and it became everywhere, and now we're back to 9. I think cost nerfs are a lot more important than people realize, so I do think that this is a very heavy nerf to this card, right? I think it's not going to be as oppressive as it has been in this current patch, where you see warding of the deck variations everywhere. So I think it's a very healthy nerf. It still makes Warden very playable. You can still play this on turn 9 and have this big finisher, but it gives the opponent time to deal with your board, so that when the Warden comes down on turn 9, it's not going to be as crazy as when it comes down on turn 8. So I think that's very healthy. I really like this nerf. I think it's completely fair, considering how much Warden was warping the meta. Then we have the Blacksmith. And now the Blacksmith loses 1 attack. You might not think that this nerf is that significant, but let's relate it to the nerf that the Hookmaster got, right? So Hookmaster is the Ionia Naxos Weapon Master, which was being played almost in every deck when it first came out. Then it got nerfed -1 power, and that actually ended up making a difference, right? It ends up making a difference. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case with the Blacksmith. The Blacksmith does have other abilities with her. Like she's obviously healing us every time that you forge or you equip an ally. And she still has that 1 power, which means that when you get another equipment, you're usually going to have 3 power with her. And that's usually enough to do what you need it to do. So she's still going to be a great unit, but at least it will slow down the pressure that she can put in. And I think that's completely fair. So I also like this nerf. I think completely fair. It shouldn't kill the car, but it keeps them more in an adequate level. So I think so far Riot has hit the 2 nerfs out of the park. Let's skip ahead. And it looks like the next one is going to be Wildfire. And let's see what pun we have today. Don't worry, Fire Department is on its way. Okay, Riot, okay. So Wildfire. It goes to 2 costs, right? Nothing else aside that is 2 costs. So Wildfire is weird, right? Because the Wildfire decks are very annoying. I'm not gonna deny that. They are very annoying. But they're not actually that powerful, right? Like, this wasn't really any Wildfire deck that was like 55% win rate and really taking over the meta. Most Wildfire decks were kind of like around that 50% win rate. You did have that annoying combo, right? Where you had like a Samira Annie deck or Annie said whatever, and you're able to just play Wildfires and then play the 5-mana spell that heals you and draw 2 cards. Yeah, that was annoying because then after a while, if the game went long enough, it will mean that Wildfire deck will win, right? But that deck was never really that powerful. The problem with Wildfire is that it was kind of gatekeeping some like late game strategies, right? Because if you're a late game deck and you couldn't beat Wildfire or survive the multiple Wildfires by like turn 7, 8, you're pretty much gonna just lose, right? So it kind of gatekept some of these late game decks together with Warden, right? Between Warden and Wildfire, it was really aggressive for you to really play one of these late game decks that would just be that wants to play a little bit slower, right? So I think that's why I also like this nerf. It slows down the Wildfire so that you actually have to have a little bit more mana commitment if you do want to go for that strategy. I do think obviously this makes the Wildfire decks a lot worse, right? The decks were already struggling, like averaging around the 50% win rate. That's probably going to take this decks down to 45% win rate. Is that good? No, obviously not. But I think it's kind of like Rise, right? It's kind of the Rise problem that some things are kind of unhealthy, not because they win a lot, but because they're just not fun to play against. And I think that's where Wildfire fits in. It just wasn't very fun to play against. So I think this is a fair nerf for Wildfire, and I'm glad to see it as well. Let's see what the next one is. So it looks like the next one here is gonna be a Lurk nerf. What? All right, I guess all my Lurk haters out there got their wish. Oh, I guess Lurk has kind of been overperforming. But like, as much like Lurk is really just a ladder deck, right? Like, as much as Lurk was overperforming in ladder, how many Lurk decks did you see in the Runeterra Open that just happened last weekend, right? You didn't really see that many, and I think that's what makes me feel a little bit concerned about how this one, how this nerf might come across, right, for the Lurk players. So the nerf is just nerfing Pike from 4 to 5 mana, including the death from below. That is a big deal. Again, it's like I talked about with Warden. These nerfs are a lot more important than you realize when you realize that you have to spend an extra resource to actually play that card. So that is kind of crazy right there. And of course, we can't forget about their pun for this slide, which is slowing Lurk's power spike. I think Yules is the one that comes up with all these puns, to be honest. They're funny though. Well, anyways, okay, so Lurk gets a nerf, deservingly, I don't know, but we'll see what happens. Ooh, there's another. Let's see what happens next here. So the next one, we did it! We did it! J-Cyber got nerf! We did it! Let's go! Let's go! This is actually the perfect nerf that we need for J-Cyber. I haven't even read what it is actually, but let's see what happens here. So the Scrap Trap loses Brash. That's very good. So by losing Brash, it means that it can be chump blocked by almost anything. So it makes the power over a lot less than what it was before, right? The power of Scrap Trap is that you could you could play that Runaway Scrap Trap right on turn 3, have a big 6/6. Very lucky. There was a chance that the opponent didn't have anything with 3 health to actually block that Scrap Trap. So then you're able to just push 6 damage. And the 6 damage that you push with Heimer Jace is very important because that deck also has a lot of burn. So this is a great nerf and a huge nerf because it reduces the power level that that deck has earlier. And in addition to that, they also hit the headstick handler, where now the everywhere buff is +1/+0, and they make the stats plus 3/3, right? So I think it currently is a 3/2, right? So it brings things back to a little bit higher health so they can survive. But now it only increases the power. And this is the biggest nerf, even bigger than Scratcher, because one of the most annoying parts of Heimer Jace is once you had like 1 or 2 handlers, those elusive turrets going to 2 or 3 HP was very, very annoying to deal with, because it made it so that your damage base removal will be like really bad, right? So now at least without this giving health, the only way that the opponent can buff the health of those elusive turrets is by having a leveled up Heimer on the field, right? If you let Heimer level up in the field, then that's more your fault, right? You should be able to remove that Heimer before he can level up, which means that now every elusive after that, think of like Bando City, will be able to kill those elusive turrets. Even after a handler, you will be able to kill those elusive turrets with Pytos, right? With Pytos, you can kill them with like any 1 damage removal, right? Like I try to remember the Make a Rain can kill them now easier, right? Because most of them are going to be 1 health now, right? Unless, again, you let the Heimer level up. Especially in Eternal, it's going to be even more powerful because you have stuff like Battle Feast and Pokey Stick that will be able to remove the turrets. Is this nerf alone, I think, completely destroys Jace Heimer. I think Jace Heimer is going to be pretty much dead in the water. One of these nerfs alone, I would say maybe still has a chance to be a good deck. Both of them together relegates that deck to tier 2, tier 3. I don't think Jace Heimer is going to be tier 1 because how valuable the extra health from Handler was to that deck. So that's actually so big. We apologize to our incoming AI overlords. Okay, I mean, Jace Heimer gets hit. Illaoi gets hit. So Watchful Idol now becomes 4 health instead of 5, which means that he can only summon 2 tentacles before he dies, right? Yo, Riot is hitting everything here. Everything that was currently meta, they're hitting everything. We had Warden nerfs, we have Illaoi nerfs, we have Jason Heimer nerfs, we even have Lurk nerfs. Like, this is so nuts. The power level of this patch is going to change, especially depending on what the buffs are. So, suffer a bit of a black eye. Watchful Idol goes to 4 health. This is very big as well because that extra spawn could be the difference between that tentacle surviving after it has a tentacles match, or they allow it being able to push a ton of damage, right? If you had that extra tentacle by turn 3. So this is really, really important as well. Wow. That's such a good nerf, and Riot is literally coming for blood against everything that we know and love in the current patch. Or no love and hate, really, right? Because I know some of you guys probably hated Jace Heimer, probably hated Illaoi decks, etc. So it's going to change. Just based on what we've seen so far, the meta is going to change a lot at the top levels. So let's continue with the next one then. So that was Illaoi, and they hit elusive as well. Again, they're hitting every deck. Every deck that was even 55% win rate got hit here. Again, though, like I talked about in my Janna video, I'm kind of scared that they might not have hit Janna and the Champion Strength deck. But we'll see. We'll see as we continue. But Sting Officer. 1 less attack plus 1 health. Same officer, less sting. So the idea with this nerf, and again, I haven't listened to the actual Riot stream reasoning, and I wanted to get this video out to you all today. So I literally just jumped after my work meetings. I jumped in here to try to get my reactions to you all. So I haven't seen the reasoning, but if I can guess, the reasoning here is that by increasing the health or reducing the power, you make this card more of a Caitlyn card, right? So Caitlyn will still like to use this, and it might even be better for Caitlyn now because the Sting Officer is going to be harder to remove, right? So a lot harder to remove, so more likely for him to get at least 1 or 2 attacks in and be able to plant those flash bombs. While reducing the power of it means that it will not be abused by some of those elusive decks like Teemo Ionia, right? So that's the whole idea here. Less elusive abuse, more flash bomb power by increasing the health. Because they could have easily just made this 1-on-1, but if they made it 1 attack and 1 health, this card will be useless in both Caitlyn decks and elusive decks. At least this way, it's still useful for Caitlyn decks, and it still has some very good situations here that it can be used on, right? So I think that's why they went that way, and I think that's like a very, very fair nerf / buff, right? I think it's just a redesign of the card, right? More than anything else, and I really like it. So really proud of this over here, of how that change was implemented. Let's skip ahead to the next one, and here we go. We start seeing the Janna package nerf. And that's some of the things that I wanted to see, because this hits every Janna deck, Janna Samira, Janna Nila, and especially Janna Teemo Championship, which I'm very afraid that it was going to be a deck that was going to be ignored and was going to take over the meta when the new patch came out. So the Cloudwinder is going to lose 1 power, right? So now it's only a 2/2. So it's still a decent unit. It still does what you wanted to do in Janna decks, which is draw you a bunch of cards. And what you wanted to do in Nila decks, just draw you extra cards, right? It's still a very powerful card. But by losing 1 power, it cannot be blocked better, right? So it still has the quick attack, but at least it cannot be blocked better by units that have 3 HP, etc. It's still a very dangerous unit to block, though, because Janna decks tend to have a lot of damage base, right? Damage based spells. So there's still a chance that if you block this Cloudwinder, you're gonna get hit by either a Janna spell that buffs the unit by +2 power, or you're gonna hit by like the Whirlwind or something that's gonna hit 3 to your unit, and it still allow that quick attack to go through and kill your unit. So you still gotta be very careful, but it won't be as easy as it was before for the Janna players to just continuously chip at your health by attacking with a 3 power unit. So very healthy nerf here as well. We'll see if that's enough to slow down the Janna decks. I don't think it will be, but at least it will make them less. It will make the damage ship a lot harder to accomplish, right? Because there's going to be 1 less power over the span of the game. They also end up hitting Baron. Wow. Wait, did we see the pun here? Lowering the wind speed. Oh my goodness. Lowering the wind speed. All right. Nothing escaped. Nothing escaped this patch. Even Galio gets nerfed. Oh my goodness. Nothing is escaping this patch. Balin grants other formidable allies now. So it does not grant itself that +1 health. Of course, if you have 2 Balins on the field at the same time, the other one is still going to buff the other Balin, etc. They're going to buff each other by +1, but they're not buffing each other by +2, right? They're not buffing each other by +2 health for each. True benevolence is to give to others. Oh man. Okay. Well, this is a good one. How do I feel about this nerf? I think it's fair. I think it's a fair nerf. There was a chance that with the other nerfs that we've seen, that these formidable decks could kind of go out of control and just start taking over the meta. So I like this. I like this a little bit better. I like it. I think it's a fair nerf. I think, again, it depends on, because everything else got nerfed earlier as well. You don't want formidables to just take over and run with it. So it's kind of more like a preemptive nerf to prevent the power from being too high, right? So I think it's fair. Balin was a unit that if you couldn't remove it right away on turn 4, it could get out of control and very snowbally very quickly. So the only reason that these Balin decks and these Galio decks were not taking over the meta right now is because Warding of the Tribes was a thing. But with Warding of the Tribes being nerfed, this Demacian deck could have actually been a big problem. So I think it's a good preemptive nerf to a card that could potentially be problematic. It lasted so long, right? Like, Formidable was meta for 1 patch, and Riot was like, no, you're not allowed to be meta. Boom. So, next one. is Valley of Imitation, more like Valley of Irritation. It just goes up to 4 costs. Again, cost changes are a lot more impactful than players realize. This one extra cost makes a huge difference. Makes a huge difference on how early you can set up the Valley, or when you play the Valley, you have enough mana to defend yourself against the opponent aggression. That one extra mana makes a big deal, especially when you think about maybe playing 2 Valley Imitations, right? You saw with our Nidalee decks in the Runeterra Open how often we won with Valley Imitation into like Tycoon. You can still win with that, but at least it's going to force you to have a little bit more commitment so that you actually have to plan your mana more accordingly so that you don't get overrun by the tempo loss or playing a card that costs 4 and is doing nothing when it comes down on the field, right? Because it's a 4 mana do nothing until later in the game. So very, very fair change as well. Battle Imitation could be really annoying on the interactions that it has. So I think this is a good nerf as well and should be a bit more healthy than what we've seen. I still think Battle Imitation decks, whether it's Nidalee, whether it's like the Cobra decks, can still put out the combo that they want to do. It's just going to delay them and give their opponents more opportunity to be able to rush them down and win through that tempo loss, which again is where you want. It's where you kind of want a nerf to land, where it's not killing the card, but at least it's giving the opponent more opportunity to be able to respond to the strategy that the deck is trying to accomplish. So Bali goes to Irritation, but they also nerf Cobra. Wow. I think the Bali nerf was enough. You also want to nerf the Cobra. So the Cobra now says the first time you play another follower. So instead of so the first time you play another follower. Wow. So it's a play effect now instead of. Was it not always a play effect? Wait. I think was the play the only thing that changed? Let me quickly look up Runeterra AR. I feel like I'm going crazy here. I'm gonna look it up on my phone real quick because I feel like I'm going crazy. Hopefully they haven't changed. They haven't changed the cards in Runeterra AR just yet. Because I'm kinda curious here. Was there a summon before and I couldn't remember? Oh yeah, it was. The first time you summon another follower, right? So the problem with this plus Value Imitation was that because it was the first time you summon, when you play this Cobra, the Value Imitation gets transformed and you get these multiple copies of Cobras because it kind of summons each other up, right? Because the Value Imitation transforms into a Cobra and they kind of chain of each other. By making it a play effect instead of a summon effect, it means that it will not work with Value Imitation anymore, right? I guess it could. It can work once maybe, depending on how this works here. Like, maybe if the Value Imitation transforms first, and then it counts the Cobra that you just played, it might summon you another copy of the Cobra, so you end up with 3 Cobras. But no longer would you end up with like a whole field of Cobras like it was before. We'll have to see how that interaction checks out. But regardless, with the nerf to Imitation and the nerf to Cobra, that Cobra Imitation deck, I think is done. Like, that's not gonna be good anymore, unfortunately. Making Cobra combo history. I swear, these puns are actually ridiculous. all right. So Cobra goes bye-bye. What the heck? Swindle goes bye-bye? So now instead of 3, the choice is 2, so it chooses from 2. Swindle catches a nerf. Wow. Is this like because of like the only card I was playing Swindle was Fist Samira, right? Do we think that Fist Samira will still be good enough after all the nerfs that the deck has gotten? Like, it is playable right now. I've seen people play around with Fist Samira, but it hasn't been successful at all, right? Whether it's Fist Samira or Fist Samira Nami, it hasn't really been as successful as it once was. I guess, we just nerf Swindle now, but it feels like a little bit too late, right? Like, I feel like if you ever thought of nerfing Swindle, it should have been like 5 patches ago, right? When Samira Fist was like a big deal. Sure. I don't think I don't think it's gonna matter, right? Choices, choices. So instead of saying choices 3 times, it's just saying choices twice. Sure. I don't think this is gonna matter as much. I still think Fist and Mirror decks will be able to do whatever they want to do, right? So whatever. I'm okay with the Swindle nerf. Kind of weird, but they're not done. Riot is not done. What the heck? Samira gets another nerf. Samira gets another. Wait. What the heck? So now the flare goes up to 2 costs. Has there ever been a champion that has been more nerfed than Samira? Do you all remember Samira on release? Like, do you all remember everything that Samira used to do? Like, the fact that the level up Samira didn't reset once you got the attack token, so like, you could rally even more than what you do right now, right? The fact that the flare could give challenger to any unit, not just Samira. And now flare goes up to 2 mana, right? All out got nerfed instead of like oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I don't think we ever seen a champion that has been more nerfed than Samira. I will say I think it is the serve, to be fair. But I feel like for the first time in a while, like last patch, Samira wasn't like crazy. Like Samira Janna was a thing that was popular when the expansion first started, but then it kind of got replaced, overshadowed by Janna and Nila, right? And then Janna Timo. I don't think Samira was the problem of that Janna deck, right? Wow. Samira needs to play Flare. Samira needs to play fair. And they even, okay, you can't see it because my face is in the way, but they even have a little fist. They even have a little fist here, emo. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I mean, I should just increase the height of this. Oh my goodness. I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel. I think it's okay for certain champions to be strong. I don't think Samira needed another nerf on top of everything that she has seen. But it might again be preemptive because a lot of things have gotten nerfed and people and Riot maybe doesn't want Samira to overtake the meta one more time. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is for the best. Samira was still playable even after all her nerfs. But this is just like this. You're just like killing the champion now, right? Like you keep taking pieces and pieces from her, and it's like, ay. Wow. Wait, that's it. The Cloud Winder was the only Janna nerf? Oh boy. The Cloud Winder was the only Janna nerf? No nerf to Divine Whirlwind or Gale? Ay. Yeah, don't want to play. Okay. In one side, I think Riot knocked it out of the park, right? I think Riot hitting all these strong archetypes that we have seen for a while, right? I've been asking for nerfs to Heimer Jace, and I don't know why I keep swinging my phone around. You know, instead of swinging my phone around, I'm gonna swing this Elder one around. So I've been asking for nerfs on Jace Heimer for a long freaking time, right? So I think Jace Heimer nerf is correct. I don't mind the Lurk nerf. I think it's not necessary, but I understand that Lurk has been kind of like a problem child for a lot of people in ladder. The Sting Officer nerf was only fair. Again, just stop those elusive strategies for continuing to take over. Like we hit, and even the Galio nerf, well, the technically Balan nerf, the Battle Imitation nerfs, like all these nerfs were completely fair. The Cloud Wander nerf was good. The Samira nerf, I don't agree with it, but I think it was also good for the probably healthy of the game because we did have Samira action not that long ago as well. That's problematic in Eternal. So I think it's fair, right? I think it's fair to like have these nerfs. But you have to go, like, if you're gonna go that far, you have to go even farther, right? Like, the Warden was good nerf, but you have nerfed all these powerful decks, but you still left Janna. Oh, you still left Janna. You still left Janna. The Cloudwinder should not be enough of a nerf by itself to stop the Janna decks. So, I'm scared. I'm scared for Janna Overlords. Maybe these buffs that are going to come is going to be enough to take Janna out of the table, right? Because if Volibear becomes stronger, Volibear could have a lot of tools to deal with Janna decks, right? Because we do have stuff like Avalanche and Freljord that can be really good against the opponent's Janna board, right? So maybe that's what they're going for, like both these Freljord units, so that we can, both these Freljord decks, so that we can actually, like punish the opponent, right? So let's see what actually happens. So we get Titanic buffs to start with. The Sun Diva becomes 1 power, so now it's a Titanic unit. The Claw Clan and the Savage Reckoner are both Titanic. Were they not always? Oh, I guess. Oh, they got +1 power and 1 health each. Oh, the Claw Clan was a 7/7. So the Claw Clan was a 7/7, now becomes an 8/8. The Savage Reckoner was a 7/4, now becomes an 8/5. And the Tusk Rider gains 1 health, goes from 7/7 to 7/8. So you can't see it here, but this is 1 additional health that the Tusk Rider gets, right? So just adding a bunch of units to the Titanic pool, cool. Don't think it's going to change anything. Don't think it's going to change anything for us in this meta. The only one that could be interesting would be the Claw Clan, because we're already playing like some Lissandra combinations with like Volibear. So maybe the Claw Clan could be kind of cute. But the other ones don't strike me as like actually having any impact in the overall scheme of things. So fine, let's add more Titanic cards, but let's see if you actually give me any meaningful buffs. Let's see. What are you gonna give me? What buffs are you gonna give me, Riot? All right, big boys get new toys. So Wrath of the Freljord and Atakan, Bringer of Ruin have new play effects. Okay, I'm gonna have to like squint here to see this, right? I don't know what my quality. Okay, it says 1080p, but okay. Wrath of the Freljord has a new play effect. When you play it, frostbite an enemy. Enemy with 3, and this is what we know before, enemies with 3 or less power can block, right? So this allows you to hard play the Wrath of the Freljord and freeze a big unit that the opponent has, and that's gonna be 1 less blocker that they're gonna have for your Wrath of the Freljord. And then Atakan, play revive the strongest dead ally. Wait. wait. That play effect is nuts, isn't it? Wait a second. Did I read that right? Play revive the strongest dead ally. And it still has the old effect that when you attack, grant me power equal to the total power of all allies. Okay, alright. Wrath of the Freljord, sure. Nice play effect. You freeze one of the units. I still think I don't like playing this card. I still think I don't like main decking this card. I just want to like cheat it out another way. Whatever. Atakan, that play effect is nuts. That play effect is absolutely freaking crazy. Because think about you going against Shadow Owls. And they only have 1 vengeance. They can kill your Atakan, or they can kill whatever unit you summon with Atakan. Which could be a leveled up Volibear. Could be another Atakan. Could be an Anaka, right? Could be something strong, and you can build your deck around having whatever you want as your strongest unit that has died, and now the opponent doesn't have an answer for both. So this turn 10 play now is not just Atakan kind of winning you the game, potentially, but also whatever else you summon with Atakan also potentially winning you the game. That's such a nice buff. Combine that with the sigil, the Volibear sigil that reduces the cost of these Titanic units, and you're talking about summoning an Atakan on turn 8 or turn 9 instead of turn 10, that could let you summon, like I said, a Volibear, or could let you summon an Anaka or something like that. That's actually so freaking good. That is so freaking good. I love this Atakan. And remember that Bolivar Naxos deck that I kind of showcased a couple weeks ago that is playing like Chelsea and whatever. I love this buff on that deck, right? Because a lot of times it felt really bad to play Atakan from your hand. But now, if you're going to play Atakan and again get a Bolivar or an Anaka together with the Atakan, then this feels freaking amazing. That's such a good freaking buff. I love it. I love it. And then Lord Eldred, other allies and your Nexus have tough, so this is what we all know. When an ally survives damage, granted +1/+1. Okay, so this kind of becomes like, I guess think of like a Scar Grunts, right? So it's kind of like a Scar Grunts in a unit, except that it is giving health, not just power. And because you have tough, that extra health just becomes even more annoying for the opponent to deal with. That's cool. I like this. I still don't think I want to main deck Lord Eldred. Well, let's repeat that, right? One of my favorite decks is the Demacia with Freljord, where you can just kind of ramp and then like War Mother's Call, cheat out like Lord Eldred and Citria, right, etc. Cheating out Lord Eldred is so good, especially now with this new buff, because now any one of your units that survives some damage is gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. I like this. I think it's a good buff. I don't think you're gonna be playing Eldred in like any random Demacia deck. I still think you want to have like a big focused Demacia deck still to be able to play Eldred, but it makes him a lot more powerful when he actually hits the field. So that's a great buff. Man, these buffs here, all three of them are so good. Atakan is my favorite, but all of these here are so freaking good. Great job, Riot. These epic cards feel even more epic now. What else? What else? What else do we get here? Berserker's Ursine. So actually, I've never seen anybody play this card. It just gets +1/+1. When you play a spell or skill, summon a Sigil of the Storm. So it gets more power, more health, and then lets you stack the sigils, right? Sure. Sure. Is that still playable? Does that make this card playable? Does this make this card playable? I don't know. I don't think so. I still think that you don't want to go all in on like stacking a bunch of sigils, because remember that we have those Explorers units now, right? So everybody has some sort of landmark removal. So you're gonna stack them up to like 3-4, and then they're just gonna remove your landmark with 2 mana, and then you're sad, right? So I think with the Sigil of the Storm, you always only want to have 1, maximum of 2 on it, and you can usually just get that with the 3 mana unit as well as the 3 mana spell to do that. You don't need something like a Berserker Ursine, especially because when you play the Ursine, it doesn't summon a Sigil right away, right? You have to then play another spell or skill to actually get the Sigil. Obviously, the idea here is that this synergizes really well with Bolivar, because you can play Bolivar, and Bolivar gets 3 skills, so you get an additional 3 Sigil of the Storms. But it's just too little too late. I think it's too little too late. If this had a play effect or a summon effect of summoning a Sigil of the Storm when you play it, I think that would be a lot better than the +1/+1. So, still don't think that this is going to be really as great, right? Wait. They buffed Omenhawk? They buffed Omenhawk. Can't sneak by these Hawkeyes. Omenhawk can now block elusive, so it kind of got the treatment of the Badgerbear, right? I like this. A lot of elusive units have only 1 health, right? So the Omenhawk being able to just stop that elusive units on the track, this feels amazing, right? This feels amazing. I think, yeah, I think this is gonna be really this is gonna be really powerful, and it's gonna stop the opponent. It's gonna stop a lot of elusive strategies from really taking hold, and it's gonna be another reason why people should be playing Omenhawks even more, right? We were only playing it kind of because of Warden and the Bear archetype, but once Warden is nerfed, now you still have reasons to play that Omenhawk. That's really good. That's really good. I love it. I love it. These buffs so far have been amazing, right? These buffs so far have been really amazing. So I want to see here what the next one's going to be. So things are speeding up. Exhaust, burst speed. Echo's cold shot now is focus speed. Woo! Huh. Huh. The exhaust being burst speed is huge, right? Because that's at 1 mana -2 power. So that's actually really good, right? That's really good. That means that exhaust is not going to be a deck card. It can also be used as a defensive tool instead of just an offensive tool. So that's really good. Think of as Crying Sense, and Crying Sense sees some play in Echo Jinx decks because it can be used as a defensive tool as well as an offensive tool if you want to level up Echo. That's kind of what I see here with Saw, so I think that's really good. Echo's Cold Shot being focus speed instead of slow. That's a focus speed draw 1. That's also really freaking good. That's also really freaking good, right? I can't tell how impactful these changes are gonna be, but these two cards now do feel a lot better than they felt before. You really kind of play it sauce in some Renekton decks. You're definitely gonna play it more now. Is Cold Shot good enough to main deck? Potentially, right? It's a 1 mana draw 1. 2 mana draw 1 and create a parallel convergence. At the very least, I like this in Seraphine decks a lot more now, right? I like this a lot in Seraphine decks. So yeah, I mean, it's a good buff. It's a good buff. Nothing else that we can really say about that aside from that. Wanting to see exactly more how it's gonna play out. I don't know how I feel yet. What the heck is this card? This is another card that I never see anybody play. Flamecaller Caprine. 4 mana 2/3 tough. When you play an elemental spell or skill, forge me. So now she went from 3/2 to 2/3. And Nerf pack, relax. Okay, I don't understand this pun. But everybody's laughing here on the screen. So I think it's something here. Oh, wait. It's just backwards. It's just her name backwards. So it's a flame color because they switch. Oh my god, Riot. Where are all these puns coming from? They just literally replaced it. I get it now. They like put it backwards. Same thing that they did for the stat line. It's good. I mean, tough. 3 health with tough. That's a really good stat line, right? Especially because she gets bigger and bigger. Sure. I like it. I still don't think she's useful enough to main deck, but I like it. Could be interested in. I guess if you need something to really stall out, the problem is that people can just still kill this with like Soul Harvest. You know, if she gets problematic enough, you can just Vengeance her, etc. I mean, Vengeance versus this is a good trade for you, but Soul Harvest versus this is not, right? So there's still ways to answer this. I don't think she's putting enough impact in the game. Like, she's not creating a card for you. She's not, like, healing you. She's not really creating any impact when she drops down. So it makes it less useful than other cards that have that 4 mana threshold, right? So, good buff, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really make her useful. Squaggles. So Knuckles gets some buff. Knuckle is just here for moral support. Mako now gets Brash. And Bull gets Overwhelm plus 1 attack. Sure. I don't think this changes the problems that this card has. It's actually a lot harder than you think to get this Knuckle, Mako, Bull in there, right? Even though you do want to rally with this Bull, it's a lot more difficult than it sounds to actually get the full combo off. And I don't think this addresses that, right? So I still think that you're going to have problems getting this full combo off. I don't think this is going to make this card any more playable than it is today. And I don't think there's a lot more that we need to say about this one. I'm not too impressed with that change. Swapping the Brash and Overwhelm is nice, it's cute, but it's still going to be a pain in the butt to get the Bull out, unless you're literally committing all in on the coins, which, as we have seen with Jack, is not as successful as you might think. The next buff is going to be Mad Old Babs, more like Mana Old Babs, am I right? Has a tune. So now she just has a tune. Meh. Meh. No, I still don't like it, right? Attune is a cute keyword, but Babs has no other useful keywords. I don't think this is going to be enough to make it playable. I still don't think it's going to be playable. I get what you're doing, Riot. You're trying to buff all these coin archetypes, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced just yet that these are the buffs that these cards need to actually be playable. Brash Gambler, how we pick a buff? Wait, what? Oh my goodness. So this is like, okay, maybe we need to listen to this segment.
This Bilgewater card from like set 2. And we knew there was something missing from this card. It didn't feel...
No, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. If you guys want to listen to it, we can look at it later. They're just talking about how they like juggle with like different buff ideas and kind of explaining their methodology when they're picking a buff, because they're like, okay, they knew that there was something missing from this card, but they didn't know what to get for it, and they tried out different things here, right? So what they ended up settling on here is Brash Gambler gets brash when he looks like a duck and squats like a duck. So all of that, and you end up with just giving it brash, huh? Yeah, so they do get brash here. She gets brash, which makes her good because now she can attack into more units, less likely for her to get blocked. Still don't think this card is playable. This card has been around since Bilgewater was released, and he saw some play in some like TF Jinx decks that Magua used to play back in the day, but hasn't really seen a lot of play since then. And I don't think this buff is enough. As good of a keyword as Brash is, this is not enough to make this card playable. So again, another Brash buff that I don't think is just enough to really get us there. The next one though is the King Score draws a jack. When it looks like a bow and quads like a bow, make sure that it's a bow. I love this. And I love the Jack emo here to represent this. And I absolutely agree with this buff. Why was it that the bow couldn't draw Jack when we have freaking Tycaller with Nila join us on Nila the next patch after? Well, not really the next patch, but a few patch after, right? This is a great buff. I absolutely love it. Cool add to some consistency to Jack, right? Cool add some consistency to Jack because Jack is actually a good card and the King Score is actually a good card. But the other cards from the Jack package, as we've seen with like the Babs or even the Knuckle, I don't think are good cards. But if we focus on kind of buffing the good cards, maybe there's a deck out there for Jack that can actually work its magic. So the King Score draws you a Jack. Could be interesting. We'll see how that ends up. But guaranteeing that you draw that Jack can be really useful in a lot of situations. So I like this buff, and it should have been like that anyway from the start. The Portal Pioneer is a Yoro now. When it looks like a Yoro and quads like a Yoro. Okay, so they're just going to repeat the same pun over and over again. So it looks like a Yoro, but it wasn't a Yoro, so now it's a Yoro. Sure, can have some impact in some cards that reduce Yoro costs or, you know, buff other Yoros. Cool. I still think this is one of the worst explorers. So, you know, you probably have other options depending on what regions you're playing instead of picking the Portal Pioneer. So, but it's nice. I guess it's a more quality of life change than really meaningful buff. Now, Yoro Explorer gets 1 health while on the topic of Yoros. So it gets an additional health here. I still don't like it. So this is my thing with buffs, right? Like, it's hard for me to evaluate buffs because a lot of these cards were always unplayable, and I don't think that a lot of these buffs are going to make them playable just yet, right? So it's really hard for me to evaluate how much impact these buffs have because I haven't seen a really good successful Yoro Explorer deck, and I see this buff, and I'm like, okay, you know, you can play the Yoro Explorer, but then like there's not like this really like big Yoro spam strategy. Heck, it's easier to spam phase than it is to spam Yoros, right? So like I feel like this doesn't really work, and it's not gonna be really meaningful either, unfortunately. Now, if that Yoro Explorer went back to +1/+1 like it used to be back in the past, this card would be nuts again. But they're never gonna give this card the plus health buff anymore. So yeah. Winds of the Cryo Phoenix now has an Enlighten buff. Instead, deal 3 to all enemies and heal your Nexus 3. So Enlighten means knowing not to hurt your allies. So now when you are Enlightened, this card becomes a lot better because now it's not hurting your own allies. So it's kind of like a 1 mana big, A one-sided avalanche, right? I guess do a little bit more than avalanche, just those 3, but cost a little bit more. I like it. I like it. I think it's a fair buff to this. A lot of these decks that are playing this card will want to hit and lighten pretty quickly, whether with ramp or something else. So I think it gives this deck a lot of option of being able to stop the opponent's aggression without killing your own board. It's a good buff. I don't know that it makes it a good card, but it is a good buff. So I think that's a fair buff for this card right here. And then we have Shark Trainer. When allies attack someone and attacking short tooth. Perfect. This was one of the most annoying things about this card. You needed to have a spell mana to actually summon a short tooth. Now, it doesn't need to be a spell mana. It could be... Wait. It's not mana at all. Is your mana spending how you need it? Wait, am I reading that right? So, summon an attacking short tooth. It doesn't say, like, spend any mana. Like, before, it was, like, spend a spell mana. I expected the change to be, like, spend any mana, whether it's spell or unit mana. But no, they went the next level and completely removed the mana cost altogether. That's a huge buff. That's a huge buff. I don't think you main deck this card still, because it's a little bit too expensive for what these Bindle City decks want to do. But this card now becomes one of the best choices for Mayor, right? Which always was anyways, but it makes this card even better when you play that Mayor. And if you pick the Shark Trainer, you're going to be so ahead of the curve and be able to put a lot of pressure into the opponent. So amazing buff. I like it. Really useful, right? Oh, deck cards don't stay dead. Halloween Return now grants Fearsome. Revive the strongest dead ally follower are granted Ephemeral and Fearsome, and you still give everybody -1. So it makes it so that your attack. It makes it so that your unit now has Fearsome, the one that gets summoned, which kind of synergizes with the -1, because now that unit is able to attack in case that you're reviving something that doesn't have Fearsome. You know what's really important with this? That a lot of times when you're playing like Mist Wraith, you're reviving the Wraith Caller, and now your Wraith Caller is going to have Fearsome, which means that he'll be able to attack the opponent. So it's back to the glory days where Wraith Caller used to have Fearsome, right? So I like it. I think it is a good buff as well. This card was borderline playable in a lot of, like, again, those Mist Wraith decks. So I think it could be useful again in some of those. And then Haunted Tomb just gets 1 less cost. So now it costs 2 instead of 3. Countdown 2, revive the strongest dead ally. I think this is also a card that was always borderline playable. And this could be the reason that it becomes playable, right? Again, 1 mana buffs or 1 mana nerfs are really freaking impactful. Remember how impactful Bolts of Hylia buff was when he only went down for 1 mana. Remember how impactful Warning of the Tribes buff when it went to 8 mana, right? Haunted Tomb going to 2 mana could mean this card could actually be very powerful. So I'd be scared of whatever the Haunted Tomb can revive for the opponent, especially because it's just a straight up revive. It doesn't give it ephemeral or anything like that. So that's looking very juicy. That's looking very juicy. Spellcrafter. I was gonna say Spellcrafter, but it's actually Gemcrafter. It gets 1 attack, sure, 1 more gem for herself. Sure. I still think nobody has found a good strategy for this card. It makes it a better blocker, I guess, into things that have 3 health, but it still requires a deck to be fully built around, playing spells. So, could be playable. We'll have to see. With the nerfs to elusive, because the best targets for this Gamecrafter was elusive, but with the nerfs that we're seeing with some elusive units and stuff like the Omen Hawk being able to block elusive, could be a little bit problematic for that elusive strategy to take shape, right? Whoa. Slow and buffs all ally. Consults the heaven. Fully heal all allies, then grow their power to equal their health. Whoa. Not just, okay, it becomes slow, right? It becomes slow, so that is very important, right? But that's spicy. That's so spicy. Oh my goodness. Woo! I want to try this. I want to try this out with Soraka. Because you have a lot of great targets with this, right? Like, imagine that you have a board of like Soraka, Tankenge, and Broba Protector, and you play this. Now, like, all three get healed. All three go up to like 7 power. I guess 6 if Soraka is not leveled up, and the Tankenge. Oh my goodness. And it fully heals all allies. So this could literally win you the game on a single turn if you have the Star Spring and you have enough hurt allies on the field. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait for Eternal. I cannot wait for Eternal so I can try this out with Soraka, Tankenge, and Star Spring. This is actually so freaking nuts. This is actually so nuts in my opinion. Again, it is slow. It is slow, so he can get punished. He has a lot of counterplay. He has a lot of counterplay, right? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Riot. I'll take more Soraka buffs, please. Please give me more Star Spring buffs. So the Overwhelm here gets swapped to Challenger. Challenger instead of Underwhelm. Gravity +2/+1. You want to see a discard it? Okay, you know, honestly, I like the Challenger here a little bit better than the Overwhelm. It kind of lets you trade with certain things. Fine. The Noble Rebel could actually be interesting. It's a fair buff. The Overwhelm wasn't doing much for her when she didn't have that much of like big stats. But the Challenger could be a lot more impactful at letting you trade with certain units that the opponent plays. So dope. I like this change. Great buff right there. I do think it's actually a buff, right? Mega Tusk gets +1 health. Definitely not a Riot Amon Warros vanity buff. I love this because Iron Warros is the developer that's here speaking. So this is pretty much like a Warros, Mega Tusk, etc. They get 1 extra health, makes the Mega Tusk a better blocker. That could be impactful as well. I think Deep has other problems still that could be problematic. That could keep it out of the meta. But this is a great buff. I like it as well. Simple and straightforward for an archetype that definitely needs some love, right? Eclectic Collection goes down to 6. From Eclectic to Electric. I like it. Eclectic was always kind of like this awkward card. It did see some plays, right? It saw some plays back when you had like Nora Shadow Owls, whether it was like Nora Heimer or Nora Elise, etc. You could actually justify playing like a copy or two of this card. Okay, I like it. This could actually be more of a game-winning threat right now. Obviously, the portals, the chimes, everything becomes really good here. So I like this. I think it's a great buff for this collection. And again, could be playable in some of those Nora archetypes. So maybe we need to prepare for the Nora Overlords with Shadow Owls to return back into the game. Wait. Well, I guess we got a Teemo buff technically, right? For the Howling Abyss fans out there. So one of the problems with Teemo level 2, by the way, is that if the opponent had no shrooms on their deck, it wouldn't plant any shrooms. But now it plants 5 minimum. So even if there's no shrooms on the deck, it will plant 5 shrooms into the opponent's deck. So just like they're saying, just for people that get Teemo from like Howling Abyss, or for some reason, if you have a leveled up Teemo but the opponent has no shrooms in their deck, I guess that's possible in certain like free build decks, right? So sure, I think this buff is going to be irrelevant for most times, so I don't think we need to spend a lot of time in it. Shame, man, this is crazy. Kane's cost gets reduced. Well, the Kane Shadow Step. The Kane Shadow Step spell gets reduced by 1. That's so good, because honestly, the Shadow Step is one of the easiest way to blow people out with Kayn. It's one of the ways that you can easily level up Kayn and easily win the game. And this costing 1 less mana is so freaking good for this archetype. I absolutely love this as well. I'm digging this. I'm absolutely digging this. I love it. Great buff. Maybe Kayn will see more play again, right? It's been a while since Kayn deck really was meta. Don't know that I'm too worried about it, because this can only, you can only get the Shadow Step when you have 2 Canes in your hand. So it's not like it's gonna break the game, because you cannot actually main deck those. You cannot actually main deck the Shadow Step. Then we have a bunch of recall buffs. Shielding of the Forest can now recall an ally, or oh wait, Shielding of the Forest got the Cosmic Cult treatment. For 2 mana, you can recall an ally, or for 8 mana, you can summon ephemeral copies of the 3 strongest followers you have recalled this game. I like this. I like this because giving options to cards like this, where now you don't have to spend 8 mana, you can just spend it for 2, is huge. And a 2 mana recall to save any one of your units is also huge, right? Think of the 2 mana set spell that gives a coin when you recall. That feels really good, right? Now, of course, this card does have a certain deck building cost, because you wanna summon ephemeral copies of cards that are gonna win you the game. So you do have to like build like a deck around that, right? Like a deck around cards that you're gonna recall and be able to summon copies of them. So that's still gonna be a concern, but this gives you options, and I think that makes this card definitely worth it in a lot of situations. Then we had a buff for 9 lives, where now it gets +1 power. Cool. Is there another buff here that I don't see? Because I mean, that's not enough, is it? I don't recall them like that. That's a funny pun. Okay, whatever. I mean, I don't think this is gonna matter as much. I guess the thing is that when you recall the liminal, it does transform back to it, to the spell. So I guess that's where the recall synergy comes in. Whatever. I don't think this guy's gonna see play even with this. But I guess now it's a little bit nicer if you hit it off with your karma on turn, the karma gives you the spell for free. And then Singular Will costs 1 less. Woo! Are we in a world where Singular Will could actually be playable eventually? I don't know if 9 cost puts us there, but this is not bad, right? This is like 9 cost is the same cost as Ruination. Granted, right, the opponent's units don't die, they get recall instead. But you also get to keep an ally on the field compared to Ruination, which kills everything, right? This could be playable, right? That's kind of spooky. Singular Will is kind of spooky now that it costs 9. So let's see what other buffs are we seeing here. We should be almost done. Yeah, we're at 48 minutes and the stream is 50 minutes. So the next one is going to be Ari. 1 less to level up. Fleeter Foxes. So level up Ari quicker, get to her power level quicker. That's a fair buff. Don't know if it's enough to actually get our Ari out there to be playable. We'll see. We'll see. I like this buff. Leveling up Ari quicker is important. We'll see if it's actually enough. And that's going to be it, right? That is going to be it. These are all the buffs and nerfs. Overall, I think it's a great patch, right? Overall, I think this was a great patch. A lot of really impactful nerfs. A lot of interesting buffs. Nothing that kind of jumped out of me has been like completely busted. I'm still concerned about the power level of Janna and the Janna package, right? I'm still very concerned about the power level of Janna and the Janna package. But this could open up the room for some of the recall strategies. This is going to make Bolivar a lot better with some of the Titanic units that we have. Atakan looks very interesting to build around. The power level of the patch overall, I think, went down. A lot of the cards that got buffed are still not going to be playable, while a lot of the powerful cards got nerfed. So I think in general, you're going to end up with like a slower, less powerful meta than what we've seen. Whether that's good or not, it's still up in the air to see, right? So I think that's what I'm seeing right now from just these patch notes, but we'll see what happens, right? So I think this video has been going long enough. It's went a lot longer. I think it actually went longer than my usual patch notes breakdown. Crazy enough. But Hope you all enjoyed the breakdown. Again, make sure you watch the Riot stream if you actually want to get their thoughts on why they did certain buffs or nerfs. You can find that in their YouTube channel here on Legends of Runeterra. And just watch you go to Legends of Runeterra, then you go to live, and you'll see the bot here of the patch 410 live balance stream to get their opinion stuff. If you like their content, make sure to like the video below and subscribe to us. We post LOR videos every single day. And you can also find us on Twitch at Sirturmund streaming, and then you can also find us on Discord and Twitter. The links to those are both in the description below. And you can expect tomorrow for us to have 15 decks that we recommend for you all to try out in the new patch. So again, hope you enjoy this time with me, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.